And I actually go back to this model almost every studio at UT. And then you have your drawings, and you have your models, simple, straightforward. You don't want to get too complicated. You just want to be able for them to get the idea of what the concept and what your strategy was to really emphasize that. And this is a class I took by Haynes. As you can see, I improved that San Pedro part, that drawing, the site analysis. By the time I was in my second class, I think I improved to do it. And then on the side, you have the Part 2 diagrams. Those are really important. The diagrams are the most important drawings that you'll ever show. Your process, how you come up with an idea, centralized idea, and how that actually connects to the end result. And this is design 3. I only showed 3 design classes because I didn't have enough time to show my design 4 class. But this is the class I emphasize the most because it's the one where I came out with the best stuff. So this study was about movement and the relationship between the hand and an object. And this one was the brake and the gear shift from a bicycle. And then these were the drawings that I had to kind of show where this movement was overlapped with the bridge, Hay Street Bridge, which I recently saw, and I think they've renovated it. It looks quite nice. And then show sections and detailed sections, and then vignettes are also very important. You want to see that you understand the space at an eye level, you know, the human relationship. And then this is the model that I came up with. Also, in your portfolio, you want to make sure that you tell them what were the materials, because they want to know what is it they use. This was the second project in Design 3. It was at Houston Street. And in here I show the relationship of the site, and then this kind of unique process that Bohuslav gives to us, where we take a picture from the site, then you juxtapose that to the actual site in which you took that from, and then you make another condition where you overlap these things, and you cut a section through that, and then how that possibly can create a form. And so this idea of them trying to see where you came up with your project is really, really important. And if you see the third condition on the top, the one with the crazy one, that's pretty much what my plan came up with. And this is one of the best drawings I've ever showed. It's not mine, it's actually Boguslav's. But yeah, I hope he's not mad about that. But the rest are mine. Take credit for that. It's a really good drawing. But you guys should be making drawings like those. That's what they like to see. Because your first year is about the process. After that, they don't give a rat's ass what the process is. All they care is about the result. And you explaining why the result is so important. So this is a section that I made of that project and pictures. So I always have this pattern of showing process, just drawings and model. Just be as simple as you can. Don't clutter. Don't show a lot of process. You don't want information overload. You know, they don't want to know every single drawing that you've made. You just want to know what the crucial diagrams were. And then I showed my graphic skills that I took with Professor Armstrong. Of course, you want to show them that you can still do it the old-fashioned way. So that was UT, and that was basically all I showed. I only showed three classes, and just a few images. And I guess they liked it because I obviously got in. So.
Did you have a pretty high GPA?
I had a 3.8, but there was other transfer students that got into the interior design school, and some of them had a 3.0. So I don't think it's really about the GPA. Again, it's the essay, the portfolio, and the letters. Those are the main things. So
how many hours did they accept?
They accepted almost all of mine, and I finished 80 credits in 2 years. So they almost took all of them. So this is assigned 3. I think some of you have seen it. Still the same idea that I learned Bohuslav, overlapping diagrams with the site, but these classes were more about the relationship of a building outside of the urban scope and then the urban scope. So these are some diagrams that I made for that project. Again, it's really, really important that you show the diagrams and you show your process, that you actually did the thinking on paper. And then some of those sections for that, and then of course the model. And then this is design 4. Design 4 is usually your urban project, where you actually really get to explore the idea of the macro scale and then the micro. So in here we took Dallas, and still following the same process of taking a picture from the site, you know, juxtaposing it to the site where it took that picture, and then making a third condition. And understanding what kind of spaces that would create for me. Still trying to come up with an ideology that I can have strategies for that. And then here's the existing site, and then the proposed site. And then again, the scale of the human, the micro scale of the actual units, and then that relationship with the urban context. A software they do recommend is Rhino. That's a program we use a lot, Rhino. So if you guys want to learn that, that's a good software to learn. And then here's some renderings of that model. Kind of get the idea of what it looks like. It's not all about how real it is, but more of you getting the feeling and the emotion that this building is going to project. Design 5 was a class before the hardest class, sound building. So it's more of like just take a class for fun. And this was about Grasshopper, the software Grasshopper. I don't know if any of you have heard about it before. It's a plugin for Rhino, and it lets you do a lot of really neat stuff. We were supposed to create a component where it was a dynamic component. For example, if a point got closer to this model, it would close up and open. So we took this model and then we made an envelope for that. Made it structural, and then we put it on the site, which was Chicago. So as the train would come closer to this station, those triangular things would actually close so that it would block the sound. So this class was about looking at the computer, the software, and how sound was propagated and how you address that. And here's some renderings and how that comes into the site. Again, I followed the same portfolio page layout that I had. You know, if you design a good page layout, it should be good enough so that you can use it until you graduate it from any degree. So, sound building, I want to go a little bit more into that. I'm going to rush through these images. I went back to design 1. I looked at my project. I did a collage of that in relationship to the human scale. Created sections, and then I came up with that model that's in the front, which I could never have come up with. I would never have come up with that model any other way, but this process that Bohuslav teaches us is really, really important. And then you look at the site, you look at the wing, sustainability, site analysis, the program, overlapping the shapes of my original project, tailoring it to look like architecture. Looking at the structure. I'm not going to tell you what the project was, so you can kind of come up with it at the end. The roof structure, parking lot, simple, how the structure comes into the parking lot. So I'm showing you almost every single drawing that I made, so you can actually see how it is that we work. So I just make endless amount of drawings, and then the building starts generating shape. We're still not looking at program in detail. It's just about these shapes and landscape and how they relate to each other, and how it relates to 2 really old existing trees. And then, of course, grading is really important. Structure. We have 2 other classes that are linked to the studio, and it's construction 4 and environmental controls. So this building, we have to design the structure, and we have to design how the HVAC system works in this building. It's a really, really time-consuming class. So this is mid-review. I started to put some furniture in there, and those are the two big trees that are really important, how the building hugs them. So then again, I start working more on the program, tailoring it, make it look more like a feasible building, and these diagrams, parking lot, you have to think about the parking, these sections, more detail of the wings of the building and how it relates to the ground, where the HVAC is going to go, structure, connections, and how the AC is going to work on the bottom, the relationship. So as you can see, you're taking little parts and you start getting more into detail and start figuring out what it is that makes it work. And then what's on the inside and the trees. So this was an event center at Soccer Park. It has one of the greatest view to downtown. One of my presidents was Morphosis, one of my favorite firms. And the materials, you gotta show what the building's gonna look like. And this were my final plans. The gray area was the trees. So how the building relates to the trees in the parking lot. And then the view, the zones for the AC systems, detailed sections. I did this model in SketchUp. And this drawing over here is one of my favorite ones.
This is all SketchUp?
This is all SketchUp. This is one of my favorite drawings right here. How you actually, the relationship of the entrances, and then these wings right here. And then this crazy roof systems. And then this is another class by a German professor. This guy was really interesting. He would make us do hundreds of drawings for a single stage to progress. So we did lots and lots of drawings, and then we came up with architecture. This is one of my most intensive sustainable classes, where we have to think about everything sustainable, as the Germans like. And then detailed drawings of that. And then my current project right now, I'm working on a class where I'm partner with the landscape architect, and it's a thesis class where we're trying to figure out what the relationship of the architect and the landscape architect is, and how we interact to come up with a problem, how to solve a problem. So my project is in Seychelles, and this is the island, and looking at the landscape and how that connects, the grading, how you move up the hill.
Y'all notice, y'all are hearing about that now in almost every single talk, landscape and architecture and the relationship.
It's really-
Yeah, fourth one.
So that model over there that I have is a laser cutter model. One of the great things is at UT you have a lot of great resources,
Hold that up, Vanessa.
and one of those is the laser cutter. So it saves a lot of time from cutting all that by hand. You can make stuff like that. So that's that model of this, and relationship of the object and the landscape. And then this drawing, that's not the building, but more of a diagram of what the feeling of the building is. They really want you to draw drawings. You can get a feeling, the emotion of what it is you're trying to do. And these are the sections of that other model there, of how my building's going to respond to the botanic garden, which is the project, and how the structure's going to adjust to that. So it's not really about the architecture, but about the relationship between the two. So that's about it. And